One of the most prominent timestamps within the Noah Presgrove case is 4 a.m., which is supposedly the time of death when Noah died. But is it the time of when he was actually murdered? Who knows? And is it official? No. But Jack Newton, best friend to Noah, stated that's the time of when it did happen. And it just seems very important to just be left aside and not to be looked into any further. It doesn't seem like the police went into it any further. I've done some videos talking about it and maps. Today we're going to be seeing it from maybe a different perspective on one of the discussion pages on Facebook to see what people have to say, if there's any new updates and whatnot, because the actual post has actually tagged Jack Newton because he just so happens to be a part of one of the case discussion pages on Facebook. So we've seen if he has responded or kept quiet and what other people say, reaction wise. There'll be some other discussions too, I think, to do with Logan Jernigan and the other one. So it's just about rounding it up today, and if it branches off any new ideas, but also to spread the awareness from other people's perspectives so people on YouTube can see it themselves. Because I know some in the background have said pages on Facebook have been very quiet recently and others have gone quiet. But, you will get walls of silence and people may get a bit bored by it because what else can you do? But if you're in a position where you can maybe think more openly and also look back, who knows what you may find. There are still things for me to do, but let's just focus on this for now and spread that awareness. So welcome to those that are currently here in this live premiere. Share your thoughts and opinions in the live chat box on the right hand side of the screen. And by the end of this video, if you do have any questions, opinions, thoughts, drop a comment down below under the video and I can respond back to it later. And if you do want to support this channel, down below pinned message, there are some additional links in order to do that. And if you want to catch up on recent coverage by me with previous videos and the full playlist of the case, top right corner of the screen where that eye symbol is, click up there, you'll get the drop down box, you'll be able to navigate from there. So without further ado, let's get into this latest discussion. Here we are, 1 day ago by Alicia St. Laurent, interesting name, tagging Jack, that's why it's in bold. Can you say how you knew Noah Presgrove passed away at 4 a.m. or why did you say that? As for the context of where it actually came from, text conversation, DMs on Facebook Messenger between Jack Newton and Justin Roy, who was asking questions at the time to try and figure out what was going on. And at some point in the conversation, Jack said, Noah passed away at 4 in the morning. Was it followed up? No. Has it been counted since? Not really. Has it ever been mentioned in any of those typical interviews, like Partners in True Crime, at least from the horse's mouth? No. Has it been mentioned by Kaden Pressy? I don't think so. All comments. Now, of course, you could just brush it aside and say, well, it's not been acknowledged by the key people. It's not been acknowledged by Kaden, so it's probably not true. But if you think about it, you look back at stories told by Jack and how it may have changed with time, and yet the 4 a.m. timestamp hasn't really changed much. So there could be some truth to it. You never know. Right. First of all, Bill Harmon tags Jack saying, yes, tell us. Now, Bill, bit of a problematic individual from when I saw what they had to say about me in the past, behind my back, and that's documented on my channel. Some of you will be familiar with. At the time of when I was giving a balanced outlook on Kaden Pressy in his interviews, and Bill Harmon got a little bit triggered, but that's not the only person out there. And what I like to do is the repetition of awareness of certain problematic humans over time, just so genuine viewers here are aware of who is who and what's what. In the Dylan Rounds case, the reason why people were able to protect themselves is because awareness was given early on and the early warning signs were shown. As for freedom of speech on YouTube, that's necessary as well, so everyone can witness the psychological changes in certain humans and their behavior and attitudes. Very important, because you never know, it might come in handy in the future when you need receipts. And there was a lot of them in the past, wasn't there? Absolutely. Patricia, looking forward to Jack's answer. Well, that's if he answers, because when was the last time Jack spoke out or did a post? When? Jennifer Nixon says, stop harassing Jack Newton. Right, so this is a good example, and let's just close this shit down for a second. So by tagging Jack Newton and asking a question, not in capital letters, no swear words, not really demanding, just simply at put as, how do you know that Noah passed away at that time? Or why did you say that originally? Oh, that's classified as a harassment. Naughty, naughty, naughty. You know what? It's almost as stupid as a person indirectly labeling me as a misogynist for stating a line which was simply re-quoted from what another female said. Oh, that line is so misogynistic. Oh, but it's okay for a female to use that line, but as soon as I relay it, oh, bad boy wrath. My God, how pathetic. And as said, we do the full cycle. What comes with the good comes with the bad, vice versa. It's absolutely embarrassing. Stop harassing, asking a bloody question. How useless. It's kind of like the equivalent of maybe the odd time when Justin Roy asked a question and then it led on to full-out blown World War III. It's over the top. I don't know what the average IQ is within this case community, but what I do sense at times when around toxicity, my IQ could drop a few numbers. So let's not allow that to happen. The Dylan Rounds case is hard to top when you get people accusing me of doxing ginger cats and being a trafficker. But you know what? If we was to play a game of bingo, we might be getting close to a full house with what should we label Warlight Raft today? What should we accuse him of next? Absolutely pathetic. But what does Teddy say? What about his dad knows how to beat the polygraph and giving others how to? Why do you need to beat it? How about doing it and seeing the accurate results? I've never heard or seen this before. What about his dad, his father? So Jack's father, Caleb Newton. What, teaching people how to pass a lie detector test even if you're guilty? Where has that come from? Do we have proof? Do we have a source? Is there a backstory behind this? It's just dropped out of nowhere. Anyone else know? I know a close family member who has been told that they need to shut this down because Noah's dead and Jack Newton is still here. We have to save him. Wait, you know a close family member. Who's this close family member? A close family member of Noah Presgrove or Jack Newton? Once again, very vague. But they've been told that they need to shut this down. Shut what down? The page? This group? I don't understand. How about that? How about what? Oh, we got Amy Horzempa. I think I said it right this time. Saying what? Exactly, Amy. What is going on? Becca, I also was told that as well. Told what? This is dodgy. Lee, beating a polygraph is actually very easy. Generally, that's why they don't hold it up in court. If you want a 100% okay, maybe 98% accuracy rate, you do a stress test on his voice. I cannot remember what it's called. Right. If it's that useless lie detector test, and why even do it in the first place? I mean, okay, you see it on the reality TV shows, but that's just probably for dramatic effect. When they say, you're not the father. Ooh. Tanya, don't understand. What do you mean? We have to save him. Save who? Exactly. It's just an endless spell of confusion. That's why when it comes to Warlight Raft, appropriate language and wording is used, at least an attempt to do so. Save him from what? Save him from whom? Andrea. I don't buy it. If it's so easy, why doesn't everyone pass it? Do I full-heartedly believe in polygraphs? Not really, since they aren't admissible in court, but it's a step in a good faith for someone to take one and pass it, especially a younger person. Difficult to pass. They take everything into account. So the new ones. Examiners are trained to detect manipulation. Examiners are trained to detect and deal with attempts at manipulation, and there are safeguards in place with the equipment. I think there are still flaws there. Right. So really no much context there, but not really much response to Jennifer in the first place by stating, stop harassing. Now, who reacted to it? Any familiar names? Not really. Sarah. During one of Jack's interviews, Ellie told him they thought Noah would have passed around 4 a.m. That's where Jack got it. During one of Jack's interviews. Which one? Once again, very vague. You can say, well, there's proof that it's not that suspicious, it's what Jack's been told. But if you can't back up which interview, it's still kind of uncertain. And at least how Jack worded it in that text conversation via messenger, Jack didn't say, oh yeah, Noah passed away at such and such a time because that's what I was told by the police. No, Jack was wording it as if it's a fact, as if he knows and only he does. I mean, in contrast, when it came to Caleb Newton ruling out hit and run and saying it's not going to be a beating, you could say, oh, well, that's just a delusional opinion. No, in terms of appropriate language and wording, if it is true, Caleb said that's what he was told by the police, but he worded it like that. Is it 100% true? Who knows at this point? But like when a bit of context is given, when you may state something and it may come across as a fact, is it because you know it firsthand, or have you been told it? And there can be a difference between first-hand and second-hand third-party information, and how Jack worded it in that text conversation, it sounded like first-hand experience as like a witness. Anyway, Sarah says he relayed the same info during a text conversation with Justin Roy. No, he didn't. He didn't relay it onto Justin Roy. He just said that Noah passed away at 4 a.m. No mention of police told me that's the time or that's the estimated time. Nope, not worded like that. Let's be realistic. Then Justin Roy posted that message to those groups, and instead of giving context, the fact that Jack was just relaying info to police, he had portrayed him as something nefarious. So Sarah Smith is implying that Justin Roy didn't show the full context of the conversation to try and pin the blame on Jack and make him look more suspicious than he is. So supposedly Justin Roy has an agenda against Jack Newton. That's basically what Sarah Smith is suggesting here, or portraying. Could there have been any more conversations within that text message? I mean, to be honest, whilst there was only limited screenshots, before the mention of when the person passed away and after, there really wasn't much else in between. I think it was talking about Noah deserves justice, or he looked beaten up, or that's what someone else said. But let's just see if there's any responses, right? It's an important time. I don't know if Justin Roy will see this, but anyone in the background, pass it on to Justin Roy. Because as it's stated here, supposedly Justin only showed one side of the conversation and didn't give full context. Just to spread that awareness so he's aware too. Tim Daniel. Who is Tim Daniel? Are they the individual that made an attempt to expose Vanessa and spread false information or something? I said there's a lot of names to remember. And what was the whole purpose behind it all? I mean, it didn't really end well, did it, for others? But yeah, anyway. It's all about spreading awareness so you're aware of who is who. Tim says, I'm curious, has law enforcement given you guys any kind of update at all? Or are you all in the dark as much as everyone else? ? So I'm very much in the dark. Oh, they spoke to Jack a few different times the first few months. So you don't really know much. You're in the dark, but you still seem to know a fair bit. Yeah, that makes sense. They took his phone that day. During the course of those interactions, they said a few things here and there, such as they thought it would have been around 4, but since they haven't said anything, we are totally in the dark. It's beyond frustrating. Jack has lost his number 1, has had to deal with the ridiculous amount of internet bullying that people are throwing at him, and it's just as much in the dark about what happened to Noah and everyone else. It's heartbreaking to have lost Noah, and a year later, nothing more than the day he passed. So you say it's upsetting. And this is not to be taken the wrong way, like how other people jump the gun, but from the language and wording here, it implies that Sarah Smith feels sorry for Jack Newton and in a way defending Jack, as in it's the wrong thing to do by hounding him and harassing and questioning him and calling him out at being responsible and guilty, even though the likes of Noah Presgrove's mother, Casey Smith, actually mentioned that Jack Newton may play a role somehow in the case. And that says a lot, doesn't it? At least how it was mentioned in the past on Facebook. At the end of the day, Sarah Smith, I would like to know your thoughts on, do you think it's normal for someone like Jack Newton to keep changing the story over and over again, and then fast forward nearly a year later to just suddenly decide to add new information into the story on Partisan True Crime by stating it was actually Logan Jernigan, the last person to see Noah wander off, even though before that it was Jack, supposedly the last one to see Noah off, and then in between it was actually Avery, from what Jasmine Milan said. What an absolute mess. And what about the shoe situation? How the story went, Sarah, and how it was officially mentioned, Sarah, and how it was mentioned in the official autopsy documents, Sarah, is that when Noah Presgrove was found, he was wearing mismatched shoes. Yet Jack Newton, a year on or so, decided to take it upon himself and change the narrative, go against the actual proof and evidence and truth and state that there was only one shoe present. Do you think that's normal, Sarah Smith? Can that be excused? I don't think so. What else? Mike, I'm sorry, hopefully answers come soon. Nothing points to your son, upset rumours and speculation. I don't believe for a second anyone at the party had anything to do. Hold on a minute. Mike worded it as, nothing points to your son except rumours. Wait, is Sarah Smith Jack Newton's mother? Not that I'm aware of. I thought it was Rosa Newton, or stepmother. Who knows what's going on here? Who knows? Everything points to Jack. Mika, that's your theory. Or, as people would like better pronunciation, theory, yeah. There has been no concrete evidence to support it, and people wonder why he and others no longer comment or make public statements. Well, we all know it's a payoff and cover up. If they really wanted justice for Noah, why haven't the deep pockets put a large amount of money in the reward money? That's my question and opinion. I mean, it's a fair point. You know, at the end of the day, if Noah Presgrove's family was struggling for money in terms of like getting enough and raising an amount to put towards private investigators or even the reward money to get someone to speak out, if the outsiders, the other family members, the partygoers and all of that, who claim to really care about Noah Presgrove and say it's so sad, and even those that may truly believe it's a hit and run, still justice is needed, isn't it? That would be the consensus. For those that believe there was a murder, beating, and then for those on the inside who believe it's a hit and run. Either way, there's a form of foul play and justice is needed. Whilst different families may not see eye to eye with one another, there is a clear consensus of justice, and each individual party supposedly cares about Noah Presgrove, but not all are all in, are they? So, whether it be the Newtons, whether it be the Millans, whether it be the Howards, whatever else in between, who may say, oh, it's really bad and we really care about Noah and we really miss him, but have they done anything as in helping Noah Presgrove's family? Whether that be reward money, whether it be other things in between, whether it be distributing posters. That's just a question, but it's a key point what Katie mentions here. Yeah, because the reward money is $16,000, and there are opposition within the case that supposedly have a lot more money, but have they used it within the case, or do they not want to? Do they not see the point, or feel like they have to or need to? But then again, it depends how you look at it and how close people really are. Mika, since you're so informed, and that's said to Katie, and know everything that happened that night and what's gone on since, please inform the class and show everyone your evidence. Ooh, back in high school. Oh wait, you don't have any more concrete evidence than the rest of us, do you? Or did you get your proof from the neighbourhood kids as well? Right, so that's having a go. Mika is having a go at Katie for Katie basically calling out other family members in the background that have claimed to have deep pockets, and some of which have also made threatening comments. And Mika doesn't agree with what Katie has said. So is Mika standing up for those in the background? Who knows? Are they related? Who knows at this point? But at the end of the day, the bloody reality is, because it's not made public or clear enough, is it? Reality is, reward money is $16,000, and $20,000 was from GoFundMe to do with other stuff in between funeral, but maybe the private investigator too. Accumulation with time, and that's what's been put out there. I've not seen too much negativity mentioned by Noah Presgrove's family towards those within the case, more conflict with just civilians who aren't even really tied to the case. So that's very interesting there. Some people have questioned, Noah Presgrove's family or certain family members sticking up or having a bit of a soft bias spot for Avery or Carter and certain family members like that, some kind of cross connections, crossroad. Wow, getting a little bit deep, but still, end of the day, when it comes to the reward money, if they were close in the background or somewhat friends of friends and mutual to an extent, that reward money hasn't gone up or hasn't been boosted. And there are people in the background that have got deeper pockets and they supposedly claim to care and they want to help. Well, visually, statistically, not seem to have happened, right? So it's a bit of an observation, but Mika doesn't quite agree with it. Anyway, oh wait, you don't have any more concrete evidence than all of us, or did you get your proof from the neighbourhood? My point being, none of us know the truth of what happened that night and we're all grasping for straws. Well, we're not actually. Some of us can control ourselves than others. Trying to make heads or tails of what little truth we actually have. If everyone had actual evidence to support this statement and or theories, this would have been solved already. I truly hope I assume that they're all rumours will stop. Everything about this absolutely ripped my heart. It's a bit of a cop-out, this type of response. I mean, at the end of the day, if you had the additional party footage, which was somehow revealed at some point, and if people were competent enough to document, screenshot it, archive it, considering other people have done so with petty comments and stuff, I think at the end of the day, that would have helped a lot. The shower video, the rollover video, right? And then some in the background that claim to have seen the murder video, but it can't be released publicly. But it's in the right hands, but not much is happening. But then it is, but then it isn't. And now there's reward money to try and get people to talk and speak out. Well, that seems like a step backwards. If you've got enough solid evidence in the background and it basically case closes, you don't need to start putting out more reward money when you've got the evidence which shows who's responsible. Oh no, here we go again. But don't worry. There'll be particular events within this case you can focus in on and get a better grip of things, right? And base it off the behavioural changes and the activity levels. Applied it within Dylan rounds and was fairly accurate. It can be done here, but you just got to really single out certain events and concentrate on them bit by bit. Yeah. Christina says to Katie, Jack lost his best friend that he loved no matter what you think. What evidence do you have that points to Jack? I'll be waiting for evidence that's proven, not hearsay. So, Katie Brown's comment. Okay, fair enough. So I think maybe the people below that were responding wasn't to this one here, but more so the one above where it says everything points to Jack. Now, do I agree that everything points to Jack Newton? No. Jack could be somehow involved, possibly, but not just a lone individual. That's my opinion. So you think 25 different people have been paid off. You really think these people are millionaires? No one has paid off anyone. Why would the term deep pockets be used then? What's the purpose of saying that? Is that to show off? I mean, you got that land, if that's of some value, the house too. You could probably work out if you do some background research. I don't think people have said that the millionaires, but you don't have to be a millionaire to be well off. And it depends where you live too, and the money and the currency, all kinds of factors to take in mind. I mean, you could have £20, you go to Nigeria or you go to a third world country and now you're classified as a millionaire. Bit of an exaggeration, but you get the idea. Andrea Chubrov says, number of people grows by day 2. Now the saying, hot guy is paid off. Come on, it's not logical to think 10 to 20 plus people are being paid off. I don't know. Sorry, I'm just going into a bit of a Russian accent when I see Andrea Chubrov, because it sounds Russian to me. I think they've got a profile picture of a cat, I believe. They're saying the hog guy is paid off. I don't know where that's come from, just recent, maybe. 10 to 20 people being paid off. But this is the thing. You could say 10 to 20 people are being paid off, and there was, 30 to 40 people at the party house. But if we're talking about Monday, when it all went down and there was fewer people there, supposedly, there would have been less people to pay off, as in if there was witnesses present. Okay, you got Kaden Pressy at the party. He only knows so much because he was asleep. Now, if you apply that to Brylan Sweat, Mikey possibly, Isaac Rojas, who else is left? Who else could be paid off to keep quiet? And who was present to actually see anything take place? Who used to throw some names or pull them out the hat? Jack Newton here. Who else? A Jasmine Milan there. An Avery. A Carter. That's 4 people. Are a couple of them going to be paid off anyway? Well, not really, but it's like family members. They're probably going to be looked after anyway. But most outsiders, you think of the outsiders, the ones that aren't connected to the family, who are just there as a friend or casual, who leave that place and go back to their own life or their own family. You've got to keep your eyes on those type. If they do see, if they do remember or know stuff, you might have to, help them out so they do keep quiet. But if you're closer by family or by blood or friends or marrying in, maybe money isn't an issue. You look out for one another, right? It's not always down to money. You can be loyal to people, even if they're in the wrong and you want to tag along with them. There's other factors at hand, basically. Terry says, how about the people he talked to after he had seen the body before he went back and told people about it at the party? Cops didn't even been there, and until the ME was able to give information would have been a lot later after he was giving interviews. What about the people he talked to after he had seen the body? Who? It's vague once again. Are we talking about before 5:15 a.m. or are we talking about 6 a.m.? No times given, lacking context, vague, doesn't help. No attempt made. Christina, Jack didn't need to call 911. They had already been called when he arrived. When he arrived. Oh no. Christina here is, I'm guessing, referring to the 5:53 a.m. timestamp onwards, when Jack supposedly woke up getting ready to go down for that fishing trip, to go down the highway, and stopped because of what was going on and found out that way. Christina doesn't seem to acknowledge the 5:15 timestamp and before from Kaden Pressy's timeline. So does Christine agree with Kaden's timeline or not? Jack didn't know that though. Wow, seems like you're concerned about people that do really know what happened to JS. JS, who the fuck is JS? I can't think on the spot. Mike says to Katie, what points to him? He lost his best friend. Right. This is a very interesting scenario, because this case discussion page, the original one, I believe is the same place which had Dina Rose on, and then some fallouts with other people, but then put JJ Bumpass on a pedestal when it came to Joy Perry's outburst, but not enough to kick her off, even though people said they were going to kick her off, but she didn't get kicked off, but someone like me did get kicked off temporarily. Very unusual. And now we've got a bit of a mass defence in the name of Jack Newton. There's no harm in defending Jack, but it can't all be positives. It can't be all victim, victim, victim. There's pros and cons, right? Jack has lost his best friend. That's not good. But Jack has also told multiple different stories and accounts. That doesn't help either. But equally, Kaden Pressy, who's seen as Mr. Consistent, at times, the story of the timeline has changed. Timestamps have changed. That's what you call balance. Positives, negatives. And then if there's a reaction, if people get triggered by it, well, they're just simply problematic individuals and a lost cause. I saw it with the Dylan Rouse case. You want to know the true definition of balance is when you become the black sheep of the case. What else do we have here? His account of what happened lines up with the 911 calls, the call on the scene and his text and call to his dad. Polygraph passed. Everything else is second-hand information he is given because of sleeping. Really? Is that so? If that really is the truth, then the story shouldn't have changed over and over again, and there should have been better, appropriate language and wording. So when the 4 a.m. timestamp was mentioned, it's not what he saw himself, but what he was told. But we've not seen that context, unfortunately. As said, it can go a long way, language and wording, and it can go even further when it's misunderstood. All the problems it can cause. It's crazy. But if it's true that it's all second-hand information and whatnot because Jack is sleeping, why did Jack originally state that at 11:30 p.m. Sunday night, he and Carter girlfriend went to bed, went to sleep at 11:30 p.m. Sunday night whilst everybody else was awake? And that was said to certain family members, Noah Presgrove's dad, Victor Presgrove. And then after that, the story changed to other family members. I think it may have been Robin or Ashley. They were told that it was 1 in the morning instead when they went to sleep. No, it wasn't. It was 2 in the morning when they went to sleep. So what does Mike Johnson have to say in regards to Kaden Pressy then? Because Kaden Pressy said originally he went to sleep at 2 in the morning Monday, but he saw Jack Newton was fully awake in the kitchen area. And then fast forward to 3 in the morning or a bit onwards, Jack was still awake. And yet Jack was saying he was asleep. So Kaden Pressy, from what he's witnessed, has called out Jack, and Jack appears as a liar. And yet Mike is defending Jack here. Oh, he was asleep. All this information, and yeah, he talks a lot, but it's second hand. It's not first hand. So, do you think, Mike, that Kaden Pressy is a liar then? Because that's how it can be interpreted. Very interesting the way these conversations are going nowadays. It really has changed. Anyway. His polygraph passed. Did he really pass, though? At least in the interview, the last one, Partners in True Crime, Ashley Chadwick Robin Smith said something about being inconclusive or so. Depends how you look at it. Anyway, everything else is second-hand information he has given because of sleeping. I'm sure he was up and down like Kaden Pressy was in a loud house. Right, so you're suggesting that, yeah, maybe Jack did go to sleep at 11:30 Sunday night, but then maybe he woke up and then he tried going back to sleep at 1 in the morning. Then he woke back up, then tried going back to sleep 2 in the morning. Really? I mean, as for Kaden Pressy, the only reason why Kaden Pressy woke up 42 minutes after going to sleep at 2 in the morning is because his mom called, the phone ringing. And then the next time when Kaden Pressy was woken up was when Jack supposedly burst through the door, announcing the news and probably shouting. So, there you go. But then again, some people are deep sleepers and others aren't. But it's interesting, isn't it? But to say that, oh yeah, Jack may have been up and down, asleep and awake down to the party house and all the loud noises, that's a contradiction to what you said earlier about, Jack being asleep and stuff, and the second-hand information, because second-hand information, as an example, with what Jack said in the Partners in True Crime interview via that phone call, pre-recorded one, is that when Noah at such and such a time on Monday morning went into the bedroom of Carter Combs to get the keys off Jack side by side, Jack was not awoken by it, but Carter Combs was, and was wondering what Noah was doing, but it just happened. And that conversation and a bit of noise as well, Noah walking on in and, Carter reacting, wasn't enough to wake Jack up, but at the same time, Mike says Jack did wake up at times, Jack in the box, out of the box. Oh no, a few contradictions. Depends how you look at it. Everything else is second-hand information. He is being given because of sleeping. I'm sure he was, I was seeing that, hold on. No one saw him leave. They have the geofence. They may have the geofence, but will it ever be released public? That could help. If one of those kids were involved... Actually, interesting. This person, Mike, says, no one saw Jack leave the house, I'm guessing. But supposedly Jack was the last person to see Noah wander off. Jack had an argument with Noah before Noah walked away for good and never returned. That conversation could have followed out of the house. You never know. Right. No one saw him leave. If one of those kids were involved, they all were no way someone couldn't have known if something happened. Besides that, his autopsy doesn't support a beating. Right. Poor language and wording, because where it says no one saw him leave, does that mean no one saw Noah leave, or no one saw Jack leave after Noah and followed him? Poor language. This is poor language and wording. It could mean anyone when you say he. No one saw him. No one saw her. There's more than one he and her at the party, right? 5, 10 people. Who are you referring to? No names mentioned. This is not useful. But when it talks about, besides that, his autopsy, well, we're not talking about Jack now, are we? We're talking about Noah. Noah's autopsy doesn't support a beating. So what does it support then? Feel free to elaborate on that. Law enforcement have stated to Noah's brother, Dalen, they believe a vehicle is involved. Is that so? I have never heard that mentioned ever before. And even when Noah's brother was interviewed by People.com article, no mention of it there. So what the hell's going on? The police stated that it wasn't a hit and run. They ruled that out, but still, a vehicle could be responsible. This is yet another thing that I highlighted earlier on. I was many steps ahead. I stated that, yeah, hit and run ruled out, but that's a specific cause of death and action. Besides hit and run, what about vehicular-based injuries, vehicular-based deaths in other ways? That's not been ruled out. So there's still a possibility in other ways. And I guess people are starting to catch on now. Oakland Highway Patrol is handling the case for a reason. They stated not investigating a homicide for a reason. But I believe it was like a vehicle homicide at the start in 2023 or so with a post on Facebook. We've forgotten. I don't know why it's so hard for some to grasp. Something happened on that road with a vehicle. Oh, you mean the highway? Can you explain the blood loss? Can you? There is nothing pointing at the party goers. I've looked and seen nothing apart from internet accusations which hold no merit. I mean, if you've looked, but the key sensitive information and evidence out there hasn't been released public, well then what can you do, right? There might be some genuine things out there, but you're not even acknowledging the possibility. Yeah, on the surface level, it might be limited and it might be frustrating. And you could say, well, really, most of the negative focus aimed at those possibly being responsible is more so talk and based off maybe some witnesses who have seen that background footage, which I don't think is good enough, I'll be honest with you. But you got to always acknowledge the possibility. Oh my God, I just saw a cat chase a squirrel then. Hold on a second. There we go. It was that cat chasing a squirrel. Luckily it got away. Had to make a noise. Not a round of applause though, not yet. Right, handling the case for yeah. There is nothing pointing at the party of law, it's good for you, which hold no merit. What is it that shows you guilt so positive that you would accuse him? I'm listening because I truly want to know. A video no one has seen, please tell me. Right, so this person seems to be in the dark about the possibility. So has Mike, how long has Mike been around for them? It's wrong to talk to his mother that way. Noah and Jack are best friends and there's nothing that says he's guilty. How will you feel to find out you're wrong? I'd never want... Talking about Jack Newton's mother. Where's Jack Newton's mother? What, the person up in the comment thread? Really? What the hell is going on? I mean, what's the name of Jack Newton's mother? It's not Rosa Newton, is it? Is it someone else? The mother? Christina, yes, he did. Both Tyler truck drivers were already on scene. When he arrived, they told him 911 had been called. Yeah, Tyler Hardy, at 5:43 onwards. But what about the first set of truck drivers, which Kaden Pressy referred to as not Tyler, but others? And that was at 5:20 to 5:30 when Kaden was present. Are we just completely ignoring that and focusing all in on Jack and saying, oh, let's trust Jack? Andrea Tubrov says, does this approach work for you? Being rude to people you also want to speak up. I don't understand logic. That's unfortunate. Talking to his mother like that is really unnecessary. Is that really the mother, though? Do we have confirmation? Because the way they were wording it, it didn't sound like they were talking about their son. What people are you talking about? Jack went to the scene and the Tylers were already there. He left to go tell the other friends and then came right back. No one else was there with Jack. Wow. Christina Thompson is wording it exactly like how Stevie Howard stated it. Right, so this could be anti-Kaden Pressy, but there's no harm in spreading awareness. Beth says, Jack was already there when the truck driver got turned around to my understanding. Wow! There's so many people in the dark about the alternative timeline. This is crazy. No acknowledgement of it. Melanie says, what are you talking about? If you know something, share it. Yeah, we got the typical stubborn behaviour with certain ones. Andrea Chubrov says, are you calling me a coward? That's bizarre. I just don't see how it's necessary in any way to be rude to Jack Newton's mother. She's done nothing to be cordial on this page. Answer questions. We're spouting for people to speak up this precisely. No one is commenting anymore. No one's commenting anymore? You mean the key ones within the case? No, I think they're still commenting, but they've probably got their own little pages out there. What about the Sofa Sleuth group? Is that still active? You know, when it came to Noah Presgrove's Army, the second popular page, which wasn't as heavily moderated at a point, yeah, it was more welcoming, but it also let in darker forces, and then they had to go private. So it's, you know, it's blocked out these key named individuals, so they've gone elsewhere themselves. Christina Thompson. No, he was not. Tyler Hardy has stated that he drove up after both trucks were there. Hold on. Tyler Hardy has stated he drove up to the spot where both trucks were there, implying that there was 3 trucks in total. I don't know what Christina is going on about here. From what and how I remember it, at around 5:43, the first call was made by Tyler. 5:46 roughly was when the second call was made, but it was a failed one by Tyler Hardy, who was behind Tyler. But Tyler Hardy was able to pull on over. The first Tyler, the one to make the first call, could not stop because there was vehicles behind him. So he had to carry on driving and then eventually turn around and come back the way he came. And that's when he came across Tyler Hardy. And supposedly they were both going in the same direction. Tyler Hardy was driving behind Tyler, which is kind of convenient and interesting, bit of coincidence, and with the same names, but is what it is. 5:53. Well, she can say, well, that's the timestamp of the text conversation with Jack conversing with his father, Caleb. 5:53 is a time of when the third call was made. Third and final call. The second successful call by Tyler Hardy. Because the first one, no signal. Second call, being the third and final one, by Tyler, successful. We've seen the call logs. We've listened to them. Tyler Hardy and Tyler present at 5:43 a.m. onwards. By around 6 or 6:05, Jack comes on down, which some people perceive as for the very first time. But it's not, if you've listened to Kaden Pressy's timeline. Have we seen enough evidence and proof to say Kaden Pressy's timeline of 5:15 is wrong? No. I've not seen any concrete or hard, solid evidence to say 5:15 is wrong. It was actually 6:15 as an example. Just not seen it. You know what would really help? Whilst Kaden Pressy says 5:15 is the time of when Jack first heard about it, much earlier on before the Tylers came along. So it would imply Jack was there multiple times, not just once. It would help if someone like Isaac Rojas, Mikey Lair, Brylan Sweat stated the same timestamp individually without any biased effects. That would really help Kaden Pressy and reinforce things. Because at 5:15, whilst Kaden being a witness to the events unfolding of that time and the timing of when arriving at the scene of the highway, Brylan, Mikey, Isaac were tagging along with Kaden in the vehicle, so they're witnesses as well. If they could speak out publicly and make a public statement and give the time of when that happened and when at the highway, that could really make or break it. But it's just not happened. Such a simple response, and it could clear up so much, but it hasn't happened. Tim, can you please elaborate? Please just say what you're saying without being crypto. Well, it looks like we're not going to get anywhere with that. Mika, do you have evidence you can provide that proves they know what happened? Have any of you that claim to know what happened gone to Ellie with your evidence? No, interesting. Pardon me for having compassion for people since you're acting as though that's a bad trait. Well, having compassion for people is some kind of like emotions showing. And if you've got some kind of emotional connection with humans within a case or community, that can become a conflict of interest and you can be blinded, your judgment blinded. You got to try and stay balanced. Maybe they're trying. And for not pointing fingers and or accusing others of such a horrendous crime without actual proof, concrete evidence that they're guilty, I'm not sure. I mean, is sitting on the fence any better? Look, you can go about things and word it and use correct language. That's why I am where I am. I've seen many other people go all in like a bull in a china shop, and it is very reckless at times, and they can make a prat of themselves. It just depends how you say it. If you word it as, I know for definite that this person has killed Noah, end of. That's pretty bold, that. Do you have the evidence to back it up? Because if not, that ain't a good look. If you word it as, in my opinion, based off what's happened and what we've heard, it suggests there's a chance they could be responsible or at least know something. That's more fair. But oh no, we can't have that either. Got to sit on the fence. Patricia, you're crazy. I will not tell or answer any questions. You and your buddies have attorneys and I have my attorney, period. What is going on here? Mika, wow, you escalated that quickly. What do attorneys have to do with these individuals on screen when these people aren't even party goers unless they're somehow connected? Or is it just more so people making it all about them? I think she said what the majority of people are saying and thinking, in my opinion. Wow. No reason to be rude. Andrea says, don't you know, asking for evidence proof is a big no-no. Compassion for people that you have no proof against, also a no-no. You really should know better. But then again, having compassion for strangers who you don't even know, is that exactly the correct thing to do? Yeah, you can be all positive, and yeah, you can see all the good in humans, but that can make you vulnerable, and you can get too close to the fire yourself and find out the bad way. I mean, at the end of the day, I think at this point I'm a master when it comes to somehow revealing the darkness in humans and seeing them for what they truly are, their true colours. It can be a one-on-one encounter, it could be a public encounter. I just see it. I don't know why, I don't know if it's a curse, but it happens. Saw it in the past, in real life, with a person I was best friends with for 11 years. All fine, well, mostly fine. 11 years, and suddenly changed, snapped, bullied on me. Not good at all. Things change and escalate so quickly despite that long time and supposed stability, all turned upside down, and other things along the way. It's absolutely ridiculous. But then again, it depends what experience you have. Okay? I would say, to a small extent, myself, very experienced for such a short amount of time upon this planet, or at least in the past. Child, I'm glad that you were able to remove yourself from Caleb's world with your life. It seems there's been a few people who we sadly can't say the same about. Please keep your children safe. Sarah Smith. So supposedly Sarah Smith is the mother to Jack Newton. Is that true? Is that 100% true? Because I've never seen their name before. And the amount of people online and all the names, it's hard to remember. But we'll go back. Let's just go back to Sarah Smith's comment to reread it personally. Just got to try and find it first of all. Come on. Well, I mean, if it really is the mother, then I can understand why you'd defend your son. That's normal behaviour. I'm very much in the dark. They spoke to Jack a few different times the first few months. Right, so if it is the mother, then it makes sense as to why they would know more. But then to say that you're in the dark, but also you do know the procedure of how things went is a slight contradiction, in fairness. But during the course of these interactions, they said a few things here and there. They thought it would have been around 4 a.m. Right. So Sarah is backing Jack up, but Jack did himself no favours by how he stated it in that text conversation. Looks like people have forgotten that, which doesn't help, does it? So a ridiculous amount of internet bullying. So just think, okay, Jack's been bullied and a lot of stuff has been thrown at him. But then what about warlike Raf, who's simply covering the case, keeping it alive, being fair, being balanced, looking at it from multiple perspectives, and I'm one of the most attacked creators out there. And I say creators because there are other people out there who may be witnesses to the party or family members that have been attacked. But we're talking about creators as in those that, media coverage in different ways and platforms. I am one of the most attacked individuals, and I will be a marked target now more than ever because I am one of the last individuals standing. So you see how that can go. It also creates the Noah's Ark effect, which I might actually bring up later if there is time to talk about it. Okay. So do we have any more proof or backup of the police telling Jack around the time of 4 a.m, like an estimate? See, at the end of the day, it could clear up a lot, couldn't it? But I'm just not seeing enough of it. Said by one person who's a family member, which could be considered biased. You have an outsider that says the same thing. Could be a bit more truth within it. This is what you call cautiousness for good reason. But, my God, I don't know. Are some people out of touch with this case? Possibly. I'm not being rude, period. It makes people mad when others make a true statement. Just saying. Right. Very interesting. So it seems like there's some internal connections going on all of a sudden now. She likes to make accusations but gets defensive when asked to show proof. How are you going to feel if you are falsely accusing these people of a crime? Were you there that night? How do you know what he has said isn't the truth? Because I don't know how to show proof. It will come to light soon. You two need to drink some more wine and chill out. I think, to be honest, drinking more wine will make people a lot more bitchy. Right, so we've got petty behaviour. This is exactly why so many rumours run rampant. It's sickening. I'm really sorry about his having to go through all this. So it definitely looks like the tables have changed. For so long, there was an intense focus on Jack Newton and people not being too pleased with him. And that was across all pages. And yet now all of a sudden, it's suddenly, oh, poor Jack. And, what's the main factor which has caused this sudden change? Because it appears very drastic. I've never seen it like this before. But then again, this is a similar situation as JJ Bump Ass, where people had it in for JJ, but then because of Dina Rowe's post, which was a bit erratic and all over the place, calling JJ out when he was innocent in terms of an alternative situation, supposedly, then everyone started backing him up. Wow, talking about balance. No, we're talking about either goldfish mentality, switching it up real quick, changes of allegiances. This is literally the Dylan Rounds community case all over again, but on Facebook instead of YouTube. This is what I mean. I've seen it in the past. It's happening again. And it might even be happening on my channel to a small degree. So necessary actions and the following steps which are needed are under control. For sure. But it's still important to document this because you never know. It might come in handy in the future. And you know what? People do like live premieres, even if it's not just the video or the content within a video, just a place to be able to hang out, chat and talk, and maybe even about the case. Because if you don't have a live premiere, you don't have a live stream on YouTube, you can't communicate with people on the spot. It's needed. So even if this is considered background noise to some people, I'm giving a platform, an opportunity for people to hang out, and new discussions can come out from it and questions can be answered along the way. It's a win-win, and it works. It's worked in the past. There we go. Jalen says, so does that mean that Kaden Pressy's story is wrong or that he's lying? Finally, someone asking a question in response, right? Needed. I think what she's trying to say is that Kaden Pressy's lying. Is that what you understand from that? Christina says, why say anything if you don't want to explain yourself? Does it make you feel special to act like you know vital information? None of this is a game if you know something. Right, so no response. So Jalen asked Christina, are you saying that Kaden Pressy is lying? And Christina doesn't respond to that. So that could be seen as a red flag, possibly. So we looked through all those responses. Oh my God, 74 more. Wow. Sherry, but a different one. You better pray his phone didn't ping in that field at 4 a.m, or we will know how he knows just my opinion. Right, yeah, I've heard mention of the phone pinging nearby to the highway in a field. Let's see what the follow-up conversations are, if there are any present. And I'll try and get through it quicker, but... Oh, here we go, Mike, once again. I'm sure they already know the answer to that, regardless of what KB has said. Who is KB? I can't remember. Robin has stated he took and passed the polygraph from law enforcement, yet on Partners in True Crime it was described as inconclusive. Switching and changing, right? Yes, it's not foolproof, but they have that along with the geofence and his text and call to his father. Kaden stated himself, the fishing trip was planned ahead of time, it's not some made-up thing. Well, yeah, I remember hearing that. His account aligns with phone data, 911 calls and callers' accounts of what happened that morning. They're not looking at Jack Newton, but people don't want to believe that. He has spoken many times and stopped, I'm sure, for the backlash he encounters. I wouldn't speak anymore. Right, if the story is that simple, then why did Jack Newton have to take it upon himself to change the narrative many times and a year later add new information into the story? Do you think that's normal? It seems to be heavily ignored. Sherry. Well, how can both Jack Newton and Kaden Pressy's timelines both be accurate? Exactly. Kaden Pressy 5:15, Jack Newton 6:15. Exactly. Kaden Pressy has proof that his time is correct, and now you're saying Jack Newton has proof of his time is correct. Well, both can't be correct. Exactly. FBI needs to take over the case because it's apparent OHP screwed it up from the start. Andrea Chubrov says, someone's time is off. What we have to go right by now is the verifiable 911 call timestamps. Everything is hearsay, just like, say, Kaden Pressy has proof. Jack Newton can say same thing. See how it works. And you're saying that both can be as bad as each other, as consistent as each other, but in terms of this place, it seems to be the pity party for Jack Newton, and let's all feel sorry for him, but let's now suddenly throw Kaden Pressy under the bus or ignore him. One extreme to another, yet what separates me from most humans is that when you got Kaden Pressy's interview, I'm critical of it, I look into it, the pros, the cons, the positives, the negatives, the consistencies, and most definitely the inconsistencies. Not everybody likes it, tough shit. But then I do the same exact thing for Jack Newton. You see, it's not exclusive to one individual. Just like how there might be people on my channel that act out or show their true colours with time. I might refer to them as impetuous. I might refer to them as degenerate. But it's not like really exclusive to one individual. I mean, if people are going to act out, they're going to be treated a certain way regardless of who they are. It's as simple as, isn't it? That's what you call balance. Sherry. That's exactly why I say this case is very deep, more than anyone could imagine, and in order for it to be solved, FBI needs to take over. OHP has too many connections to all involved. Also, KB has a video. Who the fuck is KB? Kaden something? Or do you mean KP? Is this like a spelling mistake? Because once again, you see how confusing it can get? So maybe Kaden Pressy has a video of LE and volunteer firefighters taking Noah's black shorts off. No. Hold on a minute. I'm sure there'll be some people ripping hair out their head saying, oh, well, like, Raph, you're getting it all wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't worry. It's fine. KB Kathy Bingham. Bingham. So we're talking about Kathy Bingham here, private investigator, has a video of the tampering of evidence. But wait, that's hearsay as well. And it's also said that Ellie had this video copy of it, but wait, they act surprised when told about it in the interview with Kaden Pressy. So in my opinion, the copy was given to the wrong Ellie and swept under the rug. All this is just my opinion. I mean, is there a possibility that Kathy Bingham never actually handed it in to authorities, but decided to show it to a person within the case as a conflict of interest? I mean, there's been a lot of people that have called out Kathy Bingham with time. So, Steve, who told Robin Jack Newton passed the polygraph? Did Ellie or Jack Newton tell Robin? Well, from what I remember, I don't know about Robin, but at least one of the Presgrove family members, Jack Newton, directly told one of the family members that he passed. But then how it was worded on the Partners in True Crime last interview was it was inconclusive. Christine, and when did Kaden Pressy verify that the fishing trip was planned? I do believe that was mentioned in the Partners in True Crime interview. And what do we have here? Andrea Chubrov. Justin Roy, but you told me earlier that Jack never mentioned a fishing trip to you or anyone, and if Jack did wake up at 5:15 a.m. saying that Noah was dead, him still texting his dad at 5:53 is just an alibi. Bro, that make no sense. If it was just a hit and run, Caleb just shared a text between them at 5:53 about fishing. Kaden responds, I do agree with the alibi thing, and the whole thing, and the 5:53 makes no sense to me either. And yes, sir, I do remember telling you that he had not mentioned about going fishing. I had to sit back and think about what I was going to say in the post. Therefore, I remember overhearing him saying something about going fishing sometime, and I'm sure that was mentioned in one of the interviews as well. There we go. I don't chime in often, but I was told he was one of 3 people who did this by my teenage neighbours who know them. Tiffany Weaver. Teenage neighbours that know one of 3 people that are responsible, which involves Jack Newton and 2 other people murdering Noah. Is that Sam? Interesting. Do we have proof? Sherry. Thoughts 2. Just hope and pray Ellie have really done geofencing. Christy. Neighbours spoken with OHP? I never read where Kaden Pressy said fishing trip was planned. They're adding words to Kaden Pressy's statement. More rumours started. Well, I just remember hearing it in one of the interviews. Steve, this is the first I saw about fishing trip. Wonder what day Kaden Pressy ever heard that. This is the first you've heard about the fishing trip. Wow. The fishing trip was heavily talked about and prominent and heavily documented on my channel. I made multiple videos about the fishing trip. Probably part of the plan after, to make it look like a boating accident, semi-truck came by and ruined the plan. Now they have to come up with a new plan. Honestly, if their idea, which involves Caleb Newton, was a boating accident, tying it in with Noah's death, oh my God. I mean, what an absolute disaster that would be, considering you had the 7-year-old with the boating accident where Caleb was behind the wheel of the boat. Wow. 2 boating accidents over time? Boy. Don't look too good, that, if it was planned that way. Shay, if they do go report to the LE, make sure they record it because they can lie. Just because the family is backing up a public story doesn't mean that the story is the legal truth. I'm sure if the investigation shows something that backs up the inconsistencies, or and those inconsistencies becoming evidence, it will not be made public. And investigators will say to stay on track with the public story and agree to the inconsistencies because it will preserve the facts of this. Yeah. Who is he? And what is this? Yeah, it's just shit language and wording, to be honest. Very vague at times. Right, going fishing sometime. Sure, just say, yes, Jack Newton told me he was going fishing first thing in the morning. He said he overheard him, so Jack Newton wasn't telling Kaden Pressy that. Jack Newton was telling someone else that. Jack originally said, well, it was either Jack or Kaden. I definitely remember hearing it, that you had that fishing trip planned. Jack Newton going with his father, grandfather, and girlfriend Carter Combs, but Carter Combs just didn't go in the end, or wasn't intending on going in the end. Kaden Pressy was supposed to be tagging along, but Jack didn't want Kaden there. I do remember hearing it worded along the lines of that. Yeah. I mean, I've done my analysis and watched videos, interviews. Whoever Jack is and his dad are, and they said they did this to Noah because the dad was at a party where Noah walked in on him with a minor. Oh, no, not that again. If you had CCTV cameras inside to prove it, then fair enough, but we've just not seen that bit. It couldn't not have been that morning unless Kaden Pressy heard him at the highway telling the guy who told them to leave, because that morning Jack Newton wakes Kaden Pressy up and yells about Noah's death. 5:15 supposedly. Kaden Pressy, looking for his shoe, wakes up the 3 other boys. Kaden Pressy goes back to the house. Jack Newton never returned. He stays at the scene. Kaden Pressy doesn't see Jack Newton until a few days later. Okay. Fills in a few blanks there, that's all right. Information needs to be reported to the FBI. Just a link there. Luana. That's only your opinion. The changing stories and locals telling me of the interactions with Jack Newton have caused me to form a completely different opinion. If they're not looking at him, well, I guess deep pockets are far-reaching. Right, so we finally got a counterpoint mentioned. Makes a change. Have you seen the proof? Because it has never been posted on here. Maybe someone tag Alicia Lee in the way Jack was tagged and ask her for proof. Why should Jack answer when you already believe Kaden Pressy without any proof? Right, so Christina comes across a bit one-sided. Or the fishing trip was planned and since Kaden Pressy confirmed it, your theory doesn't fit. Straight from Robin. What does Robin Smith say? I can verify I was told by the investigator that Jack took and passed a polygraph test. Robin Smith. Yeah, okay. But then how it was mentioned in Partners in True Crime interview by Robin Smith and Ashley Chadwick was, it was inconclusive. Wow, switching and changing. Melanie. I think people are lying about the videos, and if they did have videos, they should have posted them on social media a long time ago. Really? So you're saying that if there was a murder video of Noah and it was gruesome, it should be publicly posted online? How reckless that would be. If you're talking about the side-by-side rollover, yeah, that should be posted public, because if Noah wasn't killed there, then it's not the end of the world, is it? But it does help in understanding, as in what happened, the state Noah was in. You know, Kaden said he saw the video, he was showing it, and Noah was injured. Bloodied nose. Stephanie Millan said, oh yeah, I was at the party. And Noah was okay after the side-by-side. No mention of him being hurt. Wow, really playing it down. Who's right, who's wrong? You know, that type of thing. The shower video, I guess if it wasn't too inappropriate or it was blurred out to an extent, that should be shown as well, so you get an idea. These videos, these timestamps, as close as they are, the closer they are to the final moments of Noah, the more helpful it is. Then you know the last few people that were around Noah, right? I could do all kinds of video analysis and stuff, and it would be very useful and it would be very critical, but unfortunately the videos aren't present and I don't have access to them, so I can't do it. But I'll tell you something, they would be very helpful. They would go a long way. We've seen the Jasmine Millan Snapchat photo, and you saw how deep I went into it, and supposedly I was right about it as well, so just imagine what else I could do with the other footage. You can't worry about messing up the case when you're dealing with these kind of degenerates. Did what? I'm confused. I agree. If I had a video of something like this and police weren't acting on it, I would have already posted it. Oh, so Christina would post a possible video of Noah being murdered and beaten and destroyed, overkill, and post it public so people get to see the blood everywhere, the splatters, head being ripped off, well, the scalp. I mean, is this live leak? No. Steve Baker, again, by investigator, do we trust investigators? I'm not talking about the PI. PI investigators could have told Robin, but Ellie would have told PI a lie. Oh boy. Several other people that confirmed the fishing trip, but the only confirmation that is expected would be from Kaden Pressy. If you talk about Kaden Pressy's timeline, the only one that needs the proof is his attorney. If you're talking about the video, Ellie has it and need to dig it out from under the rug. Bunch of copies. Well, supposedly there were. Michael Faye's Kaz in the past, when teasing of this supposed footage of the highway, there was copies, 2 or 3 people with the videos. Steve, I'm sure there's copies. Yeah. Kaden's digital phone data from a forensic investigator and his attorney, and it makes no difference what they have. Had the videos. Right. Okay. Oh, Mika makes an appearance. One officer acted surprised, the other stated that they had knowledge of it, so I guess we can pick and choose which one to believe. I mean, personally, it was hard to listen to all the multiple voices in the background of that interview. Christina, I'm sure if a video existed, Ellie wasn't acting on it, the video would be released to make Ellie acknowledge that. Anyone can pause the video if you want at any point. Sherry says, yowl. This is one thing I've not seen. Yowl. Hasn't been mentioned much. Always wanting Kaden Pressy to show proof of a timeline. I never asked Jack Newton to show proof of his timeline. I just said, you better hope that his phone didn't ping at 4 a.m. in that field, because it won't look good on him. Is all I said. Go back and read. Fair enough. Yeah. If he was there or how he was found out according to him stated. Yeah. Andrea Chubrov, neither Kaden Pressy or Jack Newton need to provide proof to folks on Facebook. Caveat here is that things can be stated as fact with no proof. Lots of people here stating things as absolute fact when it's not the office continual repeat. Simple as sounds. Indeed, a planned fishing trip which was supported by several of the party goers, Jack Newton's dad and Jack Newton's grandpa. Oh, we got Amy, another Amy, I've not seen him for a bit. And suddenly, how Carter said she was also planning on going. Exactly, planning on going, but didn't actually go. Let's not forget that. So some people may have a goldfish memory, but it's good how it's acknowledged here. But neither Jack nor Caleb never once ever mentioned her going. Yeah, I think... No, actually, hold on. I'm sure Jack did mention about Carter going with him and how, oh, I didn't really want Kaden Pressy to be there, even though he was supposed to be coming. I guess because it was more personal, more intimate with, you know, someone you with at the time and with family introducing and stuff. Yeah. Jamie, always worked and they've always got away with it before. Right. But yet they claim they all went looking for Noah. If that were the case, then they would have found him, wouldn't they? Because it depends where they were searching, right? Justin Roy said the claim about partygoers going searching for Noah as if they were concerned only came about after the geofence was announced. So were people shitting themselves thinking, right, we best act as if we care all of a sudden? I don't know. They planned to dump his body in the lake, in my opinion. Which lake? Warika Lake? I believe I have the screenshot that Jack states Noah passed it. We've got proof of that, don't we? According to Caleb, Jack called him after he was done messaging about the fishing trip. The call was telling him about Noah being dead. Yeah, that was 6:05 in the morning. 13 minutes from messaging about the trip. Jack had to get dressed and maybe brush his teeth, get into his car, drive for a mile and find Noah, get his bearings straight to call his dad. Guess 30 minutes makes sense there. But what about the hour before? Kaden Pressy's timeline. Exactly. How did Renee and Jazz know before Jack? Jazz called her mom before Jack left the house to go fishing. Do you know what? Fair enough. Steve Baker deserves a screenshot, and I mean that in a good way. We can always revisit this at some point. I'll probably have to get the screenshot statement from what Renee Millan stated that, oh yeah, I was called by my daughter at in between 5:30 or 5:45. Well, that's still before Jack finding out, isn't it? And if Jack was asleep at the party house, as innocent as he was, and it took him 5:53 of still being unknown in the dark to 6 in the morning to then finding out for the very first time. And at 5:53, when Jack was oblivious to what actually happened, yet by that time already Jasmine was already aware. Where was Jasmine? Still at the party house or back home? Probably at the party house. So you tell me that Jasmine Millan knows what happened to Noah, made a call to the mother to let her know, and Jack, the best friend, is just left in the dark whilst the person by the side of him knows but doesn't tell. Sounds absolutely ridiculous. So it's a good thing that Steve makes a reference back to it. Sherry, Kaden Pressy has said the same time and events that he had heard and saw the whole time. No, that's incorrect, Sherry. Kaden Pressy has slightly altered the times, and that's not a criticism, it's just more of an observation. The partners in true crime with compared to a month beforehand of the private interview, it does differ in terms of the story and details. For more reference, you need to go to my channel and look on it. You'll find a video on my channel which shows the comparison between June and July. It's very eye-opening. Be sure to watch it, and that applies to anyone right now if you haven't seen it yet. It's very important for that full balance. Right. Well, I said field, I meant near where Noah was. But the reference of a field, I believe, was mentioned previously to do with the ping. And furthermore, the word field or wheat field was actually brought up in a conversation online, giving a scenario by Sarah Long, of all people. It sounded a little bit too specific. Slip of the tongue, who knows? Sherry, you have a point. So Jack Newton texts Caleb Newton at 5:53. Bring a hat. My got messed up. At 6:05, Jack Newton called Caleb with the worst news. But Jasmine Milan supposedly called her mum 5:45 to 6. Something very fishy going on. Did Kaden Pressy's mum know at 6 o'clock to call? Well, supposedly Kaden Pressy didn't contact any of his family members at the time of when it was all going on. The only time when Kaden Pressy told his family is when he made it back home at around 8 in the morning to 8:30. And because of that, and because of Kaden returning back to the party house after 5:30 to sit and watch TV to try and distract himself, that's when Kathy Bingham turned on Kaden and questioned him, saying, is that normal to do? Whilst Kathy Bingham was completely ignorant of certain related family members such as Brown Sweat, who actually returned back to the party house and slept like nothing happened. Oh, that's okay. But if Kaden Pressy can't go to sleep but watches TV just as a distraction, that makes him a bad person. Yeah, very one-sided, biased, typical. What's this all about? Love how you post and then block me. Alicia Lee, how long did it take for your son to talk to police, and did he volunteer to go either? It took him over a month. When his so-called friend, why did he wait so long? Alicia Lee, I did not block you, and don't come at me spewing lies. We called OHP at 6 in the morning. Noah was found. You don't actually know anything. What? Oh no, I've not seen this before. Has anyone else heard this? So Justin Roy at some point had an issue with Alicia Lee, but is this recent or in the past? Donna's post. Is this on the Army page? Is this Donna's own Facebook page post? If anyone knows the context behind this, feel free to leave a comment right now, because this is extremely important. It does say from 5 hours ago, but the screenshot could have been taken 5 hours ago the post was made, but the screenshot, the whole time of when it took place could have been months ago. Do you know, like how I could show you a screenshot now and it says 2 hours ago the comment was made? Yeah, 2 hours ago back in 2023 when a screenshot was taken 2 hours after the post was made. Yeah, times have changed since. Does anyone know the context behind this? Is it new? Is it old? If anyone does know, with confidence, drop a comment down below, right? This could have its own video. Let's get a screenshot right now, just in case. But if Alicia Lee says that we called the OHP at 6 in the morning regarding Noah's being found, was there a need to do so when there would have already been calls made before that? Closer, right? And why would Kaden Pressy word it as, oh, as soon as I got back at 8 or 8 in the morning onwards, that's when I told my parents what happened. Well, the parents would have already known, wouldn't they? So, that's a bit dodgy, being honest. That always confused me as to why there wasn't a video of Kathy Bingham showing Kaden Pressy SP and EP. Alicia, is that Alicia Pressy? SP, husband, father to Kaden, I think. He said in his interview that he had security cameras of it, but when he sent it in, it was only of his mom, not all 3 of them. That's true, that's correct. But that CCTV footage, I think, was described as just an extract. There was more footage to it. Was Kaden out of scene of the camera? Was he inside of the house at the time of when that footage was shown as proof? Of course, it only shows Alicia. It shows the husband, I'm guessing, and Kathy. Where's Kaden at? Nowhere to be seen. He could be out of sight. He could be inside. Who knows? But it doesn't show the full perspective, I guess, which is unfortunate. But one thing that was interesting, Kathy Bingham was and had multiple devices on the table, phones. And one of the phones she showed to Alicia was supposed the highway or something. It was clearly moving. Some say it's a photo, but it looked to be like a video. There was no side or finger scrolling on the screen. It was hold it up and you saw movement going back and forth, because I did put it on repeat. Some people got sick of it being on repeat because of the flashes and whatnot, but as you know, somehow When I do my videos, it fucking tortures people. What the hell? But you know what? Is what it is. It was on repeat, narrating over it, enhanced, cleared up, and people could make it out as what it roughly was. There was movement, and normally a photo doesn't have movement unless it's like a GIF, but then the quality's really bad. Alicia Lee seemed to reference or acknowledge what was shown in that bit of media at the time. It is documented on my channel in case you want a closer look at it. Where's the video of them removing the shorts? Well, we've never seen it public. Tiffany, I didn't do anything. I'm just saying what my neighbours said, who know them all. Who are these neighbours, and how close are they to the party house? There is a video. Ellie would or should have it. We won't get to see the video. They save it for the trial. But is it going to be handled appropriately? We'll see. Did you listen to Kaden Pressy's police interview in the way he says Noah had already walked off before he went to sleep? Yeah. That is problematic. But he could have walked off twice. And it's not from what Kaden Pressy was stating firsthand, but what he was told by Jasmine Millan, of all people, that in between 2 to 3 in the morning, Noah wandered off. Did he return back? Who knows? But Jack Newton is saying at 3:30 is when Noah wandered off and didn't return back. If Noah was to wander off in between 2 to 3 in the morning, he would have had to have made it back to the party house in order to be captured on camera in the side-by-side rollover and then the shower, right? Let's at least acknowledge that. Also, in a text, his mom sent to Donna, he was mad at a girl and going to take a shower. So exactly where was Noah? A text his mom sent to Donna, really? Oh. A cockroach or a cricket, I don't know. Wait, he's got to ask his dad how to respond? This is interesting way to get someone to speak up. I was told his dad was involved. Brenda Dick says, I was told the same thing by someone who lives close by. In my opinion, they can't hide and cover up forever. Jack's dad and girlfriend, Rose Newton. Yeah, it's definitely looking that way. I hope there'll be multiple arrests soon. Apparently the dad has gotten away with vile things in the past, question mark. I'm from California, but heard personally from locals he has a lot of clout in the town. Comes up dead missing. Yeah, I think you're right. That's why unfortunately I don't feel this case will ever close and be solved. And this is a very serious question. What if there are not only several arrests? Will accept? Okay. Mika, this topic has been discussed several times. It all comes back to him relaying information that he was told. Really. But how Jack has worded it at times, it comes across as if he knows it firsthand as like a witness. So it's poor language and wording then, isn't it? And that's what causes this confusion, if that's truly the case. After all the hate that's been spewed towards him here, I would think he would shy from answering anyone's questions. Now, it's interesting. I've never seen Mika Steffens before. Has anyone else? And Andrea Chubrov. Have you seen that? Okay. Oh, Dana Jakowski. Jackow. Interesting. Inclusive results doesn't mean you passed it. There we go. An individual has actually mentioned that term. Mike says it wasn't inconclusive. Kathy Bingham said that and no source. Law enforcement themselves told Robin he passed. And yet, Robin and Ashley Chadwick, in the interview of Partners in True Crime, the last one, the mention of inconclusive, not that he actually passed. And even the host said, well, it doesn't directly mean to say that he passed. So there's a bit of conflict. Yeah. Yes, and even after Kathy Bingham said it was inconclusive, Robin never confirmed that. But it was re-mentioned in the Partners in True Crime interview. Are we completely forgetting? Get the cuckoo clocks out. Amanda Patterson, responding directly to Jack Newton, why are you not fighting tooth and nail to find out what happened if he was so-called your best friend, like or brother? I mean, in a way, Kaden Pressy has shown more emotion, publicly. And everyone reacts differently. Let's make that very clear, just as a side point, a counterpoint. But how Jack has presented himself sounded robotic at times and reading from a script. Kaden Pressy seemed more raw, more emotional, and more talkative, right, and more willing. And yet, in terms of the friendship connections, Kaden was just a friend to Noah, but a best friend to Jack. Jack was a best friend to Noah. Do you see the dynamics there? I believe that, and said, I would love explanation. People agree here. Andrea says, why would he fight tooth and nail with people on Facebook that don't matter? How do you know what Jack Newton's doing privately? Well, if certain conversations don't matter, then how come Jack Newton engaged in the past with certain people? Furthermore, even though it may not be Jack Newton, the brother Caleb, why did Caleb Newton take it upon himself to threaten a stranger online that was simply asking questions to Stephanie Milan, who claims to be at the party, but at the same time as other points which say she wasn't? Right? Why did Caleb threaten, I'll come after you if you message the Milan family again? And then, what's your one? Colton. Apologies, let's just rewind that back for a second, okay? Just ignore what was said a moment ago. Why is it that Colton Newton, not Caleb, Colton Newton, older brother to Jack, that took it upon himself to threaten a stranger online who reached out to Stephanie Milan, claimed to be a party goer? Just trying to answer and work out things. Do we just forget about the threats and the inappropriate behaviour at times? I guess so. Well, Clay's done nothing else, would be something happening. All the while he's constantly being attacked and accused, and people want to say speak up. I'd say he's doing more than enough. Andrea Chuprov says Jack Newton is doing more than enough. So you think it's okay for the story to switch and change over and over again? And don't worry, I'm sure you'll throw it back and say, well, Kaden Pressy did the same exact thing. All under control. I've highlighted the inconsistencies there, but I've also highlighted the inconsistencies with Jack, so you can't use that as a counterpoint against me. So this is the only other issue. Humans could try and have a final word and a final say when it comes to stuff, but in my head I've already calculated how conversations and discussions go, and that's why it kind of bores me at times. Not any closer. Yeah, because that reward money, it sounds like a step backwards. Katie, exactly. Nothing being done, just cover up more items that could have been used for evidence. You do realise several spoke to the LE right after with no lawyer present. Do you think that they would have lawyers? We also don't know when they got lawyers, so that's hearsay rumour. Do you know some people do know that he's doing privately and others that's involved? Got to keep looking over your shoulder. He spoke to the police without an attorney present in the beginning. Kaden Pressy has a lawyer now too. You didn't answer my question. Ooh, exactly. He opened that door by speaking up to try to change the narrative. He knows he wasn't hit by a truck, but says that's the only way. BS, I call BS. Terry's appeared again. Non-Crooked County would have been immediately Miranized. I nearly read that as something else. He's not fighting to find the truth because he knows exactly what happened. Capital letters by Mari. To tell the truth, simple they align. To tell the truth that night. Shaking my head. Eyes roll back. Andrea Chuprov. There's people with a different opinion that think you're already telling the truth. I get that's hard for you to understand because you see it the other way around. No need for the caps. We're all entitled to our opinions. This page is to discuss different things whilst being civil. Yeah, I think I wouldn't say it's much of a discussion, to be honest. I think I've provided the discussion as for today in terms of providing that full balance and retrospective outlook to both for and against. It's a good thing I'm here. Jalen, why do you think he's not doing that? Because he's not doing it on Facebook. Someone sent me the most beautiful contribution to Noah on Noah's anniversary, and it was done by Jack, not by all of his friends and best friends after he passed. Oh, wait, is Jalen defending Jack now? They want him to crucify himself by coming on here. I guess he's smarter than... I'm sure Jalen was questioning alternative elsewhere. Oh well. Andrea, I'm not sure what your last sentence means or in reference to as to look over the shoulder. But when Kaden Pressy got one, it's not lawyering up, it's just getting a lawyer. That must be a reference now. Amanda Huerta just stumbled across this comment from Dalen's Noah Brothers, while the brother's wife here is stating that he has been one of the very few that's been helpful. I saw in the beginning somewhere that he keeps in touch with Noah's family too. The truth is we really don't know what he has or hasn't done, so you can't sit there and accuse him. Ooh. Right, 23 weeks ago, so it's not exactly new. Jessica Presgrove. To make things clear, Jack and Dalen were both being interviewed for nearly 2 hours last night. The majority of the interviews were cut. They both explain in great detail their views. We have been with Jack since the beginning and have had multiple conversations concerning this. It's easy to point fingers and assume the absolute worst. Jack has been providing all of the information that he knows and working with us to get more information. He's not hiding the fact that he was there and he's willing to talk to anyone. He's not hiding the fact that he was there. What? At the party? The house? The highway? What exactly? Talk to anyone curious about the situation. Before accusing him, just keep in mind that he has been one of the very few partygoers who have stepped out to help us with this. One of the very few. So what's Jessica Presgrove's outlook on Kaden Pressy then? The Antichrist? I wonder how that goes down. Very, very interesting. Linda Beifel Newton. Thank you. Oh, a Newton family member. Right. You could argue and say what's happening, or at a certain point you've got Kaden Pressy, Kaden Pressy's family against the Newtons, the Howards, the Millans, and even Noah Presgrove's family to an extent, and people online. That might sound very brutal, but I'm being realistic. When you look at the language and wording over time, past, present, not looking too good. Tracy, every single person at the party should be held and questioned. I can't imagine the life they're leading. This is how misinformation is spread, right here. Everyone knows Jack and his mother have answered this question many times. Apparently they don't. People saying his polygraph inconclusive or he failed it, when Robin has said multiple times law enforcement told her he passed. But that wasn't acknowledged though, was it, in the last Partners in True Crime interview? To that extent, nope. Things changed. I don't doubt he was involved. I think he failed it. But at the end of the day, whether Jack passed or failed, even when you pass, you could still be guilty, but if the test isn't that solid enough, or you can wiggle your way about it. And look at the Dylan Rounds case, how that went with the polygraphs. Not exactly great or helpful in the end. I mean, I think it was Don Hatley that may have passed but failed on one of the questions. We never knew about that. Who knows if he was involved or not, to an extent. Anyway, Kai, if I was his parents, I would not allow him to respond to any of the nonsense. For what? Armchair detectives. See, this is the thing. If someone tried accusing me of being an armchair detective, it just wouldn't work, because I don't have an armchair. And often I don't sit in the chair when I'm recording. Right now I'm stood up. And I'm stood on a carpet. What does that make me? Aladdin? Aladdin the detective? Where's my lamp? I need to shine it up a little bit. If I was this lawyer, I would never allowed a lie detector. So the do's and don'ts of what Jack should and shouldn't do. So why did Jack change the story multiple times? Why was that allowed then? And at the same time, you could argue, say, why did Kaden Pressy change things up too? If you wanted to throw it back the other way. Why do people need to change the stories? One point was, well, people forget, confusion, trauma, it can impact your memory. Yeah. But to add in a completely different story never heard or seen before, that can't be through memory loss. The same way as in getting mixed up between 3:30 and 2:30, or 3:30 and 3:20. You know, just random times like that where you could get a bit confused. Okay. It's been shock next to the reboot, memory, things like that. Trauma response. Trauma response to an extent. Oh, what do we have here? Hold on. Wait. I don't see the comment, but Andrea Chuprov responds to Stephanie Bacon. I don't think so. Stephanie Bacon made a comment here, but I can't see her, so that could imply that Stephanie Bacon blocked me, but it doesn't matter. I've got bacon in the fridge. I don't think people are making excuses, more so trying to think of various reasons why someone would do something in a trauma response situation. Every person is going to react differently. Stephanie Bacon, it's awesome that you were able to respond in the way that you did. Oh, okay, interesting. Right, so we're seeing where people's mindsets lie at the moment. Yeah. Why didn't Kaden Pressy, Isaac Rojas, Brian Sweat or Mikey Lair call for that matter? It's a good question by Jalen Renfro, but if we're basing it off the timeline of 5:15 and you're the last one to the party, no pun intended, you're probably going to assume that calls were already made. Just like when I'm crossing a road and you go to the lights to press the button. If you're not the first person there and there's already people present, you're going to assume that they've pressed the button. So you'll stand and wait. If they were lazy bastards and didn't press it, well then you'll eventually find out when you stood around long enough and think, nothing's actually happening. I've given perfect examples in the past and I'm just reiterating it right now. So when Kaden Pressy supposedly got there at 5:20 with the other guys and Jack was already there, right? And truck drivers, adults, you'd be thinking, they must have already made the call themselves. There'd be no need for me to do it. If you're first on scene and you're the only one there, then technically you should be making the call, right? It's common sense, but I don't think humans have that at times. Lucy Atkinson, cops relayed that. I've gone over this a million times. He's definitely suspicious, in my opinion. So Lucy Atkinson is a bit of a problematic individual. I've seen how they've commented about my channel and coverage on the case. I believe Lucy Atkinson on their profile, they've studied at university or something to do with music and all of that. Well, obviously they're not quite in sync or in tune with the volume and the vibrations and the density of my voice, the rhythm of it, which is key because when it comes to music, you got the sound, you got the voices, the waves and the pitches. You got to try and understand what the theme and the music is all about. What emotions does it convey? But if you're not willing to listen in the first place, then it's a bit impetuous to do so, just like Lucy in her outlook on this channel. But nevertheless, still here, last person standing covering the case. As said, spreading awareness of the problematic people from how I've seen people talk about me behind my back. I do find out in the end, just like the Dylan Rounds case. If people want to be naughty individuals, they're going to be treated like them, okay? Tammy, somebody needs to start questioning people. Law enforcement should have already solved this. But do they want to solve it? That's what you got to ask yourself. George Choden, if it's the same individual as in on YouTube with the same name but default profile, a green one, yes, this is another problematic individual. I wouldn't be expecting any responses. I'm still surprised how certain people mentioned in the case thus far haven't even commented on anything. Nobody close to the case investigation has an obligation to responding to random people. Melissa Schilling, my first instinct when I began learning of all the specifics of this case was the kid was ran down by the side-by-side ATV on the property after a dispute, but they didn't say it was a hit and run, did they? They ruled it out. Ooh, what's going on here? Spazzing out. And Lisa Horner White. Well, here we go again. She said, I go to know okay, yeah, right. I think that'll do for now. We said about other discussions, very brief. This game is so easy. Why would we talk about EAFC 25? What the fuck? Must not be on the actual page itself. Apologies about that. The other one. What is Logan Jernigan's involvement in this? People with all updated ways to catch someone and everything that's been said and still no arrest. I think we just want to know anyone's involvement. So many questions, yet no answers. No, it can be answered right here, right now, and we don't even need to look at the comments. Logan Jernigan supposedly lived... Get the fuck off. A little update regarding Watcher of Realms, a game. But now, to refer back to it, Logan Jernigan supposedly lived at the party house from what I guess like the likes of Alicia Lee has mentioned in the past. Logan Jernigan, it came across that way and reinforced when she had a go at me, Warlike Wrath, for just covering a video of a person driving down to the house, not directly going onto the property, but just turning about, recording the outside. And Logan said, I was eating lasagna with Brooke and Avery Carter. I'm just making sure I get the names correct. Logan Jernigan, Avery, Brooke Carter. Because Logan must have been living there because Logan had a bedroom there. Because from what Jack Newton stated in the last Partners in True Crime interview, over that phone call interview with the host, Jack brought in Logan's name out of nowhere after a year on or so. Oh, now Logan gets involved and brought into the picture, being the last person to see Noah walk away. But oh no, it wasn't worded like that in the past. No, it was worded as in Jack was the last person. But then it changed to Jasmine saying that Avery was the last person. Oh, and then Jack later said, no, it was Logan. I mean, one or the other, or all three of them. All three of them would tie in with Noah because all those Events back to back, followed from one to another, all could have followed in the same direction. Wow. I might have to show my face in a second. Yeah, we got that under control. Under his nails, check for DNA from the gravel. No mention of what I know. Clippings, I'm not sure. There might have been something, but let's just focus in quickly. So in Partners in True Crime, the last one, which is probably a few months ago now, Jack Newton said himself that Noah wanted to sleep in the bed which Avery was in, but it didn't work out. Either after or before that, Noah also went into Logan's bedroom. Why would Logan have a bedroom at that party house if she doesn't live there? Exactly. Kind of reinforces with what Alicia Leah said about living there at the time at least, and Logan's response to me too, to eating there and stuff onwards in 2024. Was it June? Or it might have been a bit onwards. It was July around then. Okay, all under control. Logan Jernigan's name went under the radar the same way Stephanie Millan's name went. Not talked about much in the past. They didn't make much of a presence of themselves either online, which was probably a smart thing to do in fairness, hence why they were under the radar. And because other names at hand were more questioned and focused, other people could just slip away. It didn't quite work out, did it? And then, in that Partners in True Crime interview, that's when Jack decided to change the story and add on. Oh, but let's gloss over the supposed final argument between Jack and Noah, because that was completely scrapped. Wasn't even acknowledged or mentioned by Jack himself. As for the Saturday one, yeah, that was previously mentioned, but then that was ignored. And then as for the Monday argument, which was even more aggressive from what Justin Roy has requoted from his family being present at the party, right? So instead of mentioning, oh yeah, Noah and Jack, final argument, now Jack himself said, completely ignored that, and mentioned about wanting to sleep in Logan's room, Noah, and it being rejected. So Noah got turned down by two different people. Right. So you see how the names get added in now when they could have been mentioned way back then, but why has Jack only decided to mention it now? Same with the shoe, only one shoe at the highway, even though the official autopsy, the documents state mismatched shoes on Noah. Not one, but a pair of mismatched shoes. Why would Jack go against that? Why would Jack go against the actual truth, what's been documented? What I've seen today is very, very tunnel vision. It's not good. It really isn't good. And I said I was going to make some predictions. So, first prediction is Noah's Ark is in absolute full effect right now. Floodgates opening. And I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this. What does that mean? Doesn't matter. Those from the Dylan Rounds case will know exactly what I'm talking about. When it comes to yapping dogs, they will return back for a nap upon the master's porchway. And you think, why are you still here, piss pot? Exactly. At the end of the day, whether humans hate me, detest me, or find my coverage annoying, where else can they go? Because as time goes on, another step away and get busy with things, the coverage may decrease the variety, but because I'm still here up to a certain point, people haven't got anywhere else to go. It's like homelessness. They haven't really got anywhere else to go, so they'll collect here, even if they do detest me. So that's what creates that never-ending cycle, that repetitive cycle with humans. It is what it is. It doesn't surprise me. Seen it in the past, seen it once again. Even externally, even when it wasn't my channel or to do with it. Dylan Rounds, 2022 to 2023, drama conflict. You had Salty Pancakes, you had Ty Corbin. Oh, I've had enough of attacking one another. Oh, I've had enough of this drama and this conflict. I'm going to spend 2 to 3 months and stay away from it all. 2 days later, back to the drama and conflict. Couldn't break out the cycle. False promises made. Exactly how it is here. Goldfish mentality has shown. Noah's Ark effect has shown. The worm effect has not taken place yet because mass blocking hasn't happened and shouldn't really be needed. But basically, you silence someone, you block someone because they're too toxic or cancerous. Sometimes it can pop up again under a different account or multiple. It can kind of like trigger a reaction what they want. So some people will act like twats because they want to be blocked. They're not going to get what they want. Tough shit. Okay? But yeah, it's very interesting. Any more effects coming into play? Absolutely. I predicted 100% that things would implode on itself in communities and it would be a complete disaster, but the final place standing is here. But what comes with the final stronghold comes a marked target, and the ruins, the walls could be scaled by goblins and cackling covens, but end of the day, it can be cleansed with time. There's a process, there's a time, but in the meantime, it can be documented and witnessed by the masses of humans present. There's positives that can come with that, and it became very useful back then when it had to be used in defense of myself or in defense of somebody else. Okay? So we've nearly got a full house when it comes to the bingo situation. That's what we call it, the bingo situation. That's like another term overall in general when it comes to the presence of on YouTube. What will happen next? Well, what we're seeing at the moment is a transitional stage, not a goldfish mentality, or maybe a bit of a hybrid goldfish mentality, but the table's turning between allegiances being placed to one another. That's changed. Defending one another, changing, being suspicious of another, and then switching back. Yeah, I'm seeing that all. We'll see what happens next, but it's becoming more unstable, isn't it? And some key people may get busy, or I've got no choice but to keep quiet, which is very unfortunate. Does that lead to the more vocal ones taking over? Possibly. We'll have to see, we'll have to monitor how it goes next, because you never know, there's always twists and turns. But what I've noticed to a very small extent has been the odd small YouTube channels doing some coverage on this case, which is a good thing. When you get smaller YouTube channels that pop in to cover a case, it can be refreshing, it can be good. So I'll be on the lookout for that too. But that's it for now. Hopefully you found the video, the discussion's interesting, and the changes of human behaviour. I'll see you next time. Goodbye for now.